Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Violeta Nikolova, and I work for the United Nations University. I'm a research associate. I just want to start with thanking our host for the invitation. It's a pleasure being here today. I hope everyone is not too sleepy. It's the last panel. So I'll try not to bore you too much. All right, so what I want to talk to you today about is I'll just give you a general overview of what the UN University is, and particularly our program, the Vice Rectorate for Europe, our team, the Sustainable Cycles team, our STEP initiative, a bit of our core competence in e-waste statistics and capacity building and training on e-waste management. And I'll finish with some examples of projects we recently started doing around the circular economy and e-waste. So the United Nations University is more than a university, although it might seem so. It's been founded in 1973, and it's basically a think tank, the think tank for the United Nations. It's an autonomous agency of the UN General Assembly, and it basically is tasked to provide relevant data and knowledge to all UN agencies, but also to external national governments and multinational organizations and industry. Our competence lies in developing policies for human security, welfare, and development. And we're spread around 12 countries, and we're 13 institutes in total. We're based in Tokyo, Japan. My institute, or the Vice Rectorate for Europe institute, is based in Bonn, Germany. Bonn is basically the sustainability capital of Germany. This is where the COP conference happens every year, and the campus is growing and growing, forming to be the environmental headquarters for the United Nations. So the Sustainable Cycles program is a program based in Bonn. We're a team of around 15 people. Some of us are based in Bonn. Most of my team are spread all over the world. Our mandate is sustainable production, consumption, and disposal of ubiquitous goods. However, 90% of our work revolves around electronic waste. Here are our key projects and activities. There's a bit too much text, so I'll just give you a little bit of an overview, but I'll go into details later. Primarily, we are working to generate and improve the collection of up-to-date quality data on electronic waste on national and global level, and empower governments to develop skills and to measure the e-waste generation collection rates at local level. Why do we do that? Because we believe that our mandate is so that relevant e-waste data contributes to good decision-making, policy-making, and more efficient activities addressing the e-waste issue. We are producing regular e-waste quantification studies. Our core report is the Global E-Waste Monitor, released annually, containing data on the global e-waste generation statistics, both on global and regional levels. I've left some this report and other reports in the poster room for you to also take a look. And I will try to bring more copies as well the next few days. We work also on the ground providing capacity building and training. We have the so-called EWaste Academies happening all over the world. I'll talk in a bit more detail later. And finally, we also are in charge of facilitating international dialogue. When it comes to e-waste, we bring all stakeholders, or we're trying to bring all stakeholders together on the same table and facilitate a dialogue. And let me go now here. So STEP, the STEP initiative. This is a signature initiative of, or a network of our team, which brings together more than 35 member organizations, including business, government, NGOs, which basically work together to develop different policies and solutions. Some of them I've included on this slide. You can also check the website of our recent reports, e-waste green papers. There is also an interactive e-waste world map, which has been on the website since 2013, was updated last year. And with business, we are working to develop co-develop this business plan calculation tool, also available on the website. It's targeting small and medium business enterprises and empowering them to basically manage e-waste in an environmentally friendly way. So our core competence, as I mentioned, is e-waste statistics. So why statistics matters? As I already said, statistics feeds into policy, and hopefully it will help develop better policies in the future and better international frameworks and fill those loopholes and address all the issues we currently have on international frameworks such as the Basel Convention. Ultimately, better statistics reduces e-waste generation, promotes recycling, creates jobs, prevents illegal dumping and emissions, but it also brings an economic component to the debate. Recently, we have established our urban mining calculation tool, which basically discovered that in 2016, the value of secondary raw materials in e-waste amounts to 55 million euros only in Europe. So this is a big argument in favor of urban mining in comparison to virgin mining. And I'll go into a bit more detail towards the end of my presentation. Here are some highlights about the Global E-Waste Monitor released in December 2017, which covers the year 2016. So in 2016, the world generated almost 50 million metric tons of electronic waste. And the sad news is that only 20% of this amount is properly collected and recycled. The 80% are not documented, not accounted for. There's just anecdotal evidence of what happens to it. The good news, well, is that we are noticing a steady improvement and increase of e-waste legislation globally. So currently we have 66% of countries worldwide under e-waste legislation. Another story is its implementation level and supervision and monitoring, but steps are made in a positive direction. There's a lot of numbers I just don't want to bombard you with. They're all in the report. Perhaps something interesting to mention here is that in 2016, unlike the year before, the biggest e-waste generator in the world was Asia region, followed by Europe, the United States, Oceania, and Africa. At the end, this is the total amount of e-waste generation. If we look into per capita, Oceania was #1, and then Africa. But all this statistics is in the report. You can also find it online. Not to forget to mention, the report is published by the United Nations University in cooperation with the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, and the International Solid Waste Association. So those three organizations formed a partnership last year to address the huge gap of available e-waste data. So only 40 countries in the world are able to properly to collect e-waste statistics and generate comparable statistics on e-waste and feed it to us. So we formed that partnership in order to basically build capacity and help countries produce reliable and comparable statistics for the purpose of tracking development and informing policymakers and industry. One of the main conclusions of the Global E-Waste Monitor is that the e-waste generation is steadily rising 3 to 4% every year. And we have very few countries able to address this issue by themselves. So they need, they need support. One thing to mention, perhaps you're going to ask me later, of how is that methodology possible to calculate the global e-waste generated, given that we have only 40 countries able to measure their e-waste generation? Well, we have developed a calculation methodology based on the so-called UNU keys. Perhaps some of you are familiar with that. It takes into account the relationship between the product life cycle and sales. It's so-called the apparent consumption model. So largely this statistics is theoretical. It's based on sales and consumption compared to product life cycle. But steadily every year with the increasing of e-waste legislation, we see also upheaval in the capacity of countries to measure their e-waste generation. I've included this slide here perhaps because it will be of interest to today's audience. This is a glimpse of our e-waste regional monitor in covering North and South America. Hopefully next year we will have a more dedicated report only on South America. We're working on that. That's the only region, continent we're not fully covering so far. So in 2016, the biggest e-waste generator in North and South America was the United States, with 6.3 million metric tons, followed by Brazil and Mexico. It's interesting to note that approximately 1.4 million metric tons of that e-waste was collected, and the rest is basically, the remainder is largely unknown, which is almost 80%. So to give you a perspective, the collection rate in Europe is 35%. So Europe generates a lot of e-waste, but also collects. So it's a very complex statistical perspective. It's difficult to put in one slide, but I hope you had the time to flip through the report and use it in your work. So as I mentioned, we are carrying the so-called EWaste Academies for almost 10 years now. The next one is taking place in the beginning of May in Bangkok, Thailand. We're bringing different stakeholders for capacity building, training on e-waste management, and we are focusing different thematic workshops depending on the stakeholders we're bringing together. We're working with entrepreneurs, businesses, policymakers, researchers, and law enforcement agencies working predominantly in customs. We work with Interpol in these specific workshops to counter illegal e-waste trade. You can also find a bit more information on the website. I'm sorry I haven't included it here, but I'm happy to give it to you after the workshop. And you are still able to register for the EWaste Academy. There is still time if you're interested. And a few words about the e-waste and the circular economy. So the circular economy is a huge topic in Europe. Since 2015, the European Commission adopted the circular economy package. It's seen as the major answer to a lot of sustainability challenges, including electronic waste and capturing the value of electronic products throughout their life cycle, and including sustainability considerations and including circularity as soon as product planning. One thing to mention is that e-waste legislations who are touching upon circular economy often focus on collection and recycling of e-waste, but more rarely focus on reuse, demanufacturing, refurbishing, and which is something that needs to be addressed. It's important also to note that the circular economy provides an immense opportunity for capturing the value of secondary raw materials, as I already mentioned, and we just finished a report funded by the European Commission with our participation called PROSM. I'll skip to it and then I'll come back. Well, let me mention first, sorry. I'll speak about PROSM in a second. Policy is a project that I'm actually very heavily involved in at the moment. Is another European Commission project linking e-plastics or plastics from electronic waste with the circular economy and aiming to demonstrate the economic and environmental benefits of post-consumer recycled plastics, and to also create the first of its kind database of recyclable polymers for designers to be able to choose recyclable polymers instead of virgin polymers during product planning. It's a very exciting, pioneering project which aims to promote purified e-plastics for new electronic devices. The challenge here is that consumer adoption is very low. Consumers are not willing to invest in a product that doesn't have an attractive color or has just the qualities of recycled plastics, which are gray to white colors and even sometimes unpleasant smell. We're trying currently this year, our major task is to carry education and training activities targeting consumers and raising awareness of sustainable and circular consumption models. So I'm happy to provide you with more information about this project and also our expert network. If you are involved in plastics or e-plastics, I'm happy to include you in our upcoming workshop in June and provide you with more details. And I'll finish with PROSM, which I mentioned. This is a short video I would like to play for you. This is also a European Commission funded project we participate in, which delivered the first of its kind urban mine knowledge data platform in Europe. In Europe, around 9 million tons of electronic equipment of e-waste is generated every year. And this project provides a centralized database where it's possible to capture the value of individual secondary raw materials. So I think the video is just 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just saw that. Do we have time, or we can play it later? Sure. I'm sorry, I haven't. Oh, wait. Wait, it should probably have some kind of, wait, no, I don't know what it is. It's fine, I mean, I can share it with the audience on email.
Yeah, if we can't get it to play.
There is no time. You should work with double clicking, okay.
So we will share the video, we can push it out to everybody so you can get a chance to look at it. So thank you so much, Violeta.